sense of the conversion that you've seen? When did you see that surge, or was it strong leading up to COVID-19?
Yes, so the conversion market has been strong for a long time. We saw freight improvement before the pandemic, but obviously as the pandemic settled in, as people began to order more products from home and the cargo market increased, we saw demand just really skyrocket and became very strong. In fact, because of that demand, we've opened 10 more lines. We've gone from 12 to 22 lines for converted freighters around the world.
So given the optimism and the greater demand expected, are you adding more in addition to what you've already added?
We're in discussions right now about additional capacity. We have capacity in China, we have capacity in Costa Rica, in the UK, in Canada, and we're working very closely with the industry and our customers to determine how to make sure that we are ready for those demands.
Are you ready for more supply chain disruptions? Because the pandemic has suddenly caused havoc and making it really difficult, especially for markets like China. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so we're working very closely with the supply chain. We do see disruption, especially in the second and third tier of the supply chain. Those are really driven by the impacts of the pandemic. Now, that said, in our industry, we tend to keep significant amounts of inventory within the supply chain. And since demand has been relatively low, we see that being okay for the time being. But as we begin to ramp back up, we have to keep track of demand and make sure that there aren't any challenges created by that increase in demand.
How much clarity do you have? How is it today versus 3 to 6 months ago?
Yes.
And how do you see headed in the next 12 months?
You know, one of the things that the pandemic did for us is it gave us an opportunity to get even closer to our customers. That transparency has gotten even better because we're implementing digital tools that create a clearer sense of demand and supply signals and transparency of what's needed around the world. So it's getting better and better because we're linking our systems together to make sure that we're all working as best we can to support the needs of the markets.
Ted, give me a sense of what the backlog is like, because you know there tends to be this sort of syndrome that affects shipping, I would say, transportation or logistics, in other words, of people over-ordering in good times and then having to scrap in bad times. The thing being here is that we're slowly normalizing, and as things do normalize, people might have too many aircraft on their books even.
Yeah, so in the converted freighter market, the latest study we saw from ICAO saw about a 7% increase in cargo demand from pre-pandemic times. There are other studies that show that out to 2040, there could be as much as a 70% increase in demand in the cargo market. So, you know, that's a big number, and obviously we'll stay close with our customers to work within that and mitigate all the risks of overcapacity and creating too many assets that we don't need. But right now we see that demand being pretty strong. As I mentioned before, we've added several lines. We have 17 lines for our 737 converted freighter. We have 5 for our 767 converted freighter, and we're in talks to add additional potentially. So we see the backlog being strong, and obviously as e-commerce continues to grow, driving and cargo, we'll stay right in lockstep with those demand signals.
Ted, I also just want to get a look at you know how right now you've got, of course, a chip shortage as well in the whole supply constraints dilemma here. How does that affect a company like Boeing?
Yeah, right now, obviously, we're tracking the chip shortage just like every industry. At the moment, it's not having a major impact on us. As I said again before, we keep inventory of these parts at a pretty significant level. We are a long cycle business, so we are not moving at the pace as some other industries, and we've had dampened demand for a while because of the pandemic. So a watch item, you're staying close with our leaders in the supply chain in those companies, but right now tracking this to be an okay issue to work through.
When it comes to demand going forward, Asia versus the U.S. versus Europe,
yes.
How do you see that?
So when we look at our market outlook broadly from a services perspective, we see it to be about a $3.2 trillion market out about 10 years. The Asia market, it's about $500 billion of that market, and about 70% of that is in the MRO space. The digital space is growing very quickly. You will have seen that we announced that we just last year sold $2 billion worth of parts products into the world, and that is just a reflection of how the markets are sort of coming back and people are buying, and there's just strong demand, and that demand is also in Asia as well.
Ted, just a quick question on the 777X. It's at the moment may not get this type inspection authorization now until later this year. If it doesn't come later this year, or if it is even delayed further, how does that actually affect you?
So, as you can imagine, 777X is a platform that we are incredibly proud of and incredibly excited about getting into the hands of our customers. That said, we have to stay in lockstep with our regulators, both the United States and around the world, as we go through the certification process. And so we'll go through that process at the pace that they lead, and we will get it to our customers when we get it to them.
Ted, before we let you go,
yes.
How does sustainability fit into all your plans?
Oh, my goodness, what an important question. You know, obviously, from a broad perspective, the company is working on this really hard with our customers and regulators around the world. We're working on sustainable aviation fuel, new technologies, et cetera. From a Boeing Global Services perspective, this is something that I'm particularly excited about. We have digital solutions today that are supporting our customers in their ability to improve flight planning. That means getting a plane from A to B in the most efficient way, which saves fuel. We also have fuel optimization software that helps optimize the use of fuel. We have a customer in Asia region that has improved their cruise costs by 1.65% by using tools that we've delivered to them. And in this region, there's also a strong focus by ICAO on emissions reporting.
Right.
Voluntary emissions reporting is coming, and we have tools that we are offering our customers, and they're using here as well. So in the short term, we're going to give them every tool that they can to drive sustainable operations and reduce their carbon footprint. In the long run, we're working on all the technologies that matter in this space for aerospace and defense around the world. So really excited about sustainability and our partnerships that are emerging around the world.